Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sharded, a casual Argent Saga podcast. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Mike, and today we're going to talk about Draft and Argent Saga.
All right, guys, welcome to episode 3 of Sharded. So we are talking about draft today, but first, Mike and I have to let you in on kind of an inside joke that's developed over the last couple of weeks. So I just bought my stuff very recently. I got in, I was kind of asking Mike kind of what he had extra for trades before I bought so I could kind of map my stuff out. And I was asking him if he had Garga Keeper of some stuff, because I didn't remember what he was the keeper of. So I said, Mike, do you have Garga Keeper of some stuff? Well, it turns out that autocorrect makes Garga turn into Gary. So from here on out, when Mike and I refer to Gary, Keeper of some stuff,
Right.
you will now know what we're referring to. So we just want to get that out there so that no one's confused.
I think it's funny because I literally cannot remember the name of this card. It is Gary.
No, it's Gary.
It's Gary.
Gary, Keeper of some stuff.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So funny. Good card.
But he keeps that stuff really good. And I was really upset I did not get him in the box. I really wanted him.
Oh man.
And he's just a rare.
I got something for you, bro.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Cool. All
but
right.
I have to trade you all my good red cards for it.
Correct.
That's the problem. Right?
Shower me with red cards.
All right. So, and then now before we get into our discussion, my next grievance. Can we talk about this?
the error of grievances today.
Can we talk about this? All right, here's my card. I want to put this on my... Oh!
Right.
Oh, wait. It doesn't fit on my freaking playmat.
Is it possible that this could be the worst introductory playmat that has ever been produced?
I doubt it. There were a lot of games in the 90s that really just were racing to get to market. And this game's done really good, but like, I'm pretty sure this playmat was meant to not be this size.
Yeah. I am positive they were like, listen, guys, the budget you gave us only covers this size. And they're like,
it only covers 9 by 13.
Right, yeah. We had to do a Kickstarter, so go ahead and print that for us. Thank you. So anyway, we love you, ARG. That was super funny.
It's just funny, right? So I was actually looking at making a custom 2-player playmat for us to do our games on. Because I've been known to do that sort of thing, right? So I was like, I'll just use the 2-player thing, the playmat thing, and I'll pull it out and do the measurements and get everything I need and get the spacing all correctly. Yeah.
Good
anyway,
good art though. But
on to our episode. So Mike texts me today with what, Mike?
So I had one of our tenets is to grow games, and this is the game that we have latched onto. We really enjoy. One of the best ways for local game stores to get on board with your game is if they can hold drafts, because drafts make a lot of money. Ask any game store how many Magic drafts they do a week, and you will probably hear 4 to 6 at least.
Right, it's at least 1 to 2.
Yeah, at least. I mean, there's a lot of stores.
No, if you are a store that sells Magic, you're at least doing a draft.
At least, all the time. So draft is a really good way to introduce new players to the mechanics and see if they want to play, and also it benefits a local store. So this game was not designed with draft in mind. So
is that confirmed?
That is confirmed.
Okay.
Like that, I've actually been on. I don't have a screenshot of that.
That surprises me, given how much. That really surprises me, given how much thought and effort they put into designing this from people of a competitive background.
I don't understand the reasoning behind it, but.
It's not a shot. It's just fascinating.
So I asked the question on the Facebook page, hey, I understand that this is true. Could someone give me, and I said, community, please tell me what your ideas for implementing draft, because it's a really good thing to do. Mm-hmm. And then, hey, ARG, what are your plans? Or what do you say? What are you going to do?
Are there any?
Are there any plans, right, about draft? And
the response was this?
Per the usual, right? Like, I had a great community response, followed directly by the actual freaking owner of the company coming behind and then spoiling that they do have a plan to implement a draft next summer.
Or at least hopes to do so.
Although
at this point, I mean, so again, I'm showing up the conversation that Mike had. Summer of 2020, like... I mean, it's not that far away. It sounds like it, but it's not from I have to talk to China and get them images and get stuff on a boat.
Right.
Although is all their stuff
No,
in the
all the
U.S.?
stuff's in the U.S.
Okay, so fair enough, but still.
What that made me think, though, is maybe the idea behind the game was we are going to bring in people to the game who are passionate about the core part of this game, and then produce 4 sets of, because they already have a set spoiled for November. Like they already have a set announced for November. So at that release schedule, that means they're at every 3 months.
And that set for November, that's the small, like the LCD style. That's the expansion.
Box, yeah, and I can't remember the name of it. I'm sorry, you'll have to.
I'll throw it up.
So
I don't remember.
It's a cool picture though. But anyway, so that gave me a little, because the quick response, I had a lot of hope that maybe they actually had a plan for this, and they obviously knew that it's something that stores would really enjoy. Right. So I got a lot of good feedback on Draft.
And we had kind of alluded to that in our last cast with the maybe this is the reason, because it makes 0 sense to have the shards in the packs, but maybe now it does.
Right.
It does kind of feel like it'd be really bad to have to draft shards. But
yeah, and no, in Magic you don't draft lands.
Right, lands are part of the community box.
Right, yeah, or some cool.
But the thing is, right? So this game is very different from that, and so let's just go into a conversation of how would draft work, right? If we were to theorize that, you don't have colors. Like, I mean, we have colors, we have elements, but your resources don't produce a color like they do in Magic, right? So you don't really need to worry about that. So I don't know, like.
Yeah, so I had a lot of good responses. I had some not so good responses, but the conversation was...
I mean, we're a gaming community.
Right, the conversation was productive. One of the cool ideas that I thought came through, and it was simple, and I'm glad, I mean, I kind of thought of it, but I'm glad that the people had the same thought, was maybe what you do is you play, like, this, like, everyone there's, like, champions out, right? So there's maybe 2 of each champion and 2 of each spirit, just as a store has this.
Oh, you're thinking like a progressive draft?
No. So there's 2 of each one, and then you draft your Argent Saga cards, but you pay no mind to the coloring rules at all. Like, because the standard rules.
That's what I was thinking as well. As color wouldn't matter.
So in the game currently, if you play a red champion and you splash a yellow spirit, you could have basically any number of red, and then up to their affinity number in whatever color you're splashing. So basically you just do that, and it becomes like a Frankenstein draft, like, where you just have all of these colors. You still get a lot of the same, like, the mechanics of the game are still kind of the same. In fact, you might even come up with some really...
There's probably going to be some really broken stuff.
Right.
But you have to draft it.
Right. And it's fun. That's one of the fun parts.
And it's fine, and you only have to lose for 3 rounds, and you still get your
right. Yes.
That's draft.
Correct. So I thought that was interesting. I want to talk about later on, after we talk about some different draft ideas, I want to talk about what could be wrong with some of that.
Oh, we can poke holes and stuff all day. We're gamers. That's what we're here for.
Right. But so that was one of the really good ideas. Someone said, hey, you could always construct a cube, which I initially poo-pooed on, because I come from a Netrunner. Magic, Netrunner, Destiny is kind of like my pedigree for competitive card games, right? I've watched people spend a year putting together a Netrunner cube. I've seen people spend years coming up with a Magic cube. We've never been able to successfully really implement a Destiny cube of some sort, right?
That's just because the power creep in Destiny is too aggressive. That by the time you by the time you get enough cards to fill it.
Yeah, I'd say that's super true, right? So, but I initially poo-pooed on it, and the person who I was having a good conversation with really kind of had some good points. And then our last podcast, we talked about probability for coming up with playsets. So me, Mike, I bought 3 boxes. I literally have
3. You should have 3 playsets.
3 playsets, yeah. So I could easily...
And I saw you give cards away to a kid at a local store on Saturday.
I was like,
did you buy it? You bought just like
I bought a couple packs,
and you just like...
I was like, yeah. So I really think that you could probably do a popper cube of this game. Super easy. Like, you could just...
So, but isn't cube construction... So, to be clear, I'm not pooping on cubing at all.
Yeah.
But that is really a community-driven effort, and it's not a... So, if we are talking... He's tapping his nose through his glass, right? cubing is a community-driven effort. If we're talking about actually official support through the company, then that's not relevant.
Yeah,
it's a great idea, and it's absolutely something that I foresee happening in this game, but that's not this discussion.
And if you bring in your cube into your local game store and invite 6 people, and you sit there and you don't buy anything, and you take up their table space, that is probably not going to make them super happy.
And my argument would be you should probably go to the local tap house with your cube.
Right. So one of the arguments I had on the post was that I feel like this should be productized so that it drives business to the local game store, which I think ARG is fantastic at with their
they
promos.
Openly support brick and mortar.
Yeah, in fact, if you're not brick and mortar, get out, right? Like that's pretty. That's their stand on things. So I feel like productizing it benefits the local game store. It also allows for testing and some side events like at tournaments. Right? Because
absolutely.
Right, because we suck. So like we have no interest in going to say a regional because we suck. Right? But if you told me, hey Mike, after you and Andrew scrub out of the Swiss round, you guys can go.
But you get your Yuki promo.
Right, you get your Yuki promo, and you can go over there and then do a draft tournament.
Yeah, I could get on board with that.
Right. So the productization of said draft kit is good. I think it could add a lot of value, and it also there's precedent for that in other games. Dragon Ball Super, they put out a draft pack like every third set. It's a box that it basically is everything you need to draft with that current block.
Yeah,
you can buy it.
I do like products like that. I mean, if you're harking back to the late '90s, like Star Wars Decipher game started doing that, and Star Trek did that as well. They basically had a sealed, I think it was sealed in that case, but they had a support kit, right? So, I mean, in this case, you only really need 10 shards. Like, that's not a huge thing. Like, everybody can probably come up with that.
Oh my gosh, I could supply the entire Portland metro area with shards at this point.
But, and then actually, so the Star Wars and Star Trek might be slightly because there was actually some exclusives in there, which we've seen from other sets as well, right? They're draft kit promos that are, not promos, draft kit exclusives that are thus playable in the standard format.
Oh my gosh, Destiny
whatever.
Is like there's so many good cards that we play out of the draft kits.
Well, FFG is no slouch at making people buy stuff, right? But
correct.
I mean, the same type of thing, right? But having cards that live outside of the normal realm that functionalize things that aren't necessarily competitive, right? I mean, there's value in that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, like, so again, the Star Wars example, they used to have ships that came with pilots in them, right? It was like an autopilot ship, so that you had a usable ship, right? So, I mean, that type of thing, right? And in this case, I don't know exactly what that would translate to in this, but I'm a big fan of summary. I'm a big fan of draft kits.
Yes, I agree. I feel so. I hope they do draft, and I hope that those of you that are in,
they're doing it.
Though they are absolutely doing it. I mean, I hope they do it. I hope they do it on their time frame. I guess what I'm saying. Also, as community leaders, if you're trying to grow your meta, try to come up with some inventive ways to do it. So when you're doing it, some things to think about. And I've been thinking about this today as far as what could go wrong, right? When I draft, removal becomes really strong. Weird.
Like a lightning. What's the 3-cost lightning strike? Right, lightning bolt. The green
lightning shot.
Lightning shot.
Yes, lightning shot. Right.
Deal 3,000. Deal 1,000.
Yeah,
that seems pretty good in draft.
Right, like those cards because it's so hard to get out. You don't have as many tricks to cheat things out. Like I've been playing red lately, so my whole deal is to play like dragon, like the summoners, right? So I can get extra value out of stuff. Because there's less. Because I may only get one good card, right, out of my pack. So I get that one card, and maybe my deck of 30 cards that I'm drafting only has 2 good cards. Removal becomes super strong if you just ace my only good card out of my deck, and then it's gone. Like that could make for some unfun games where your opponent just runs into each tower in consecutive turns and kills you.
Right.
And maybe that's the same with all games we draft in. I don't know, but that would be a little worrisome. This game is very elegant.
I think that's a fair argument. I do think one of the weaknesses to this game from a draft standpoint is the arc of the power curve, right? So like Twilight Knight, like I know that's like your dream card right now, right? Like,
Six draw, right?
Once you're getting, because like draft, of course, is less efficient. Or I should say limited, whatever, right? Limited is always less efficient, right, which means that you can generally ramp more. And since you have a guaranteed ramp in this game...
Right. At turn 6, you will have 6 shards.
Right. So I think in this game, I think that's what's going to be hard is, the guy who opens the Mythic or the guy who opens the Argent Rare.
A 6-drop that does a ton of stuff, right? Yeah.
If somebody let's say you draft one, let's say you get... I don't know. Let's say everybody draft. You get 4 people. You all draft 6 packs. I don't know if that's
sure.
Just spell on, right? The guy who gets the Twilight Knight wins, right?
Yeah. Unless he doesn't pull it for some reason, but because the game slows down.
No, but if it was, and that's why it's like I almost wonder if sealed wouldn't. No, because then you have no control of your destiny, so that's even worse, right?
All right. Yeah. So it's interesting, and you're totally onto something like so. I'm playing red. Right, so one of the ways I've been playing with different builds is if I go super light, like low cost, I'm trying to do Deranged Dragon, Booster Dragon, Exploding Dragon, Wyvern Rider, where I'm basically trying to knock you out before you can get your engine going. Mm-hmm. So a basic red aggro deck, that's really hard to do in draft because I can't.
You don't have the pieces.
Don't have the pieces. Yeah. So like you said, if I draft Twilight Knight and then the game 90% of the time is going to turn 6. 100% of the time is probably going to turn 6.
I would argue, yeah.
Right? That card is hitting the table, especially if we're playing with less than 40, which normally you do in a draft setting. You don't make
that's true. Yeah, you'll probably be playing with 25 cards.
Yeah. So that card is hitting the table, I promise you. Like,
yeah. I mean, the only time you're not going to at least 5 rounds or 6 rounds is if somebody just dead draws nothing but like somebody drafted a whole bunch of power spell, like they opened like a molten.
But think about it for a second though. Like so, let's say I guess
somebody could have drafted a bunch of spells and they just dead draw.
Turn 1, I can play a creature. Turn 2, I can attack with said creature. Tower destroyed.
If it's the right one, and then but both of the thousands either bounce or kill.
Correct. So the game is going to 6 rounds. I don't think there's a mathematical way for the game to go. Like even if you draw no guardians and I just draw creatures. No, because at turn 3 I can kill 2.
Let's say you dead draw,
right,
and you hit the towers in the absolute correct, perfect order.
Right.
I think it could go 5.
No,
you're right. It would have to go to 6 because you would hit to kill on 6. But Twilight Knight doesn't have Guardian.
And it's a destroyer, so it could take out 2. But yeah, like so. Yeah, so
no, I'm saying if you are the one who has the Twilight. Yeah. Anyway,
I think the real problem in draft might be the really strong 4 drops, like because that could be where if I draw.
Yeah, but a lot of those are starter cards or intro decks.
That's true. That is true. So I guess
at least right now,
dude. I think come up with a way to do draft. I think it'd be fun. Think about some different ways.
So that's our viewer question for the day. It's not really a viewer question; it's a viewer insight.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Tell us, like we suck.
Like, what do you think works? Like, and there's no right or wrong answer. Well, there's wrong answers, but being a jerk is wrong answer.
Correct. Right.
But no, like what do you think we can do? I mean, so let's put it this way. We have until summer 2020 because these guys have shown that they can deliver, if not beat, their expectations. Right. So we have the expectation that summer of 2020, which could potentially mean August 31st, Labor Day, right, as late as it goes. What are we going to do until then from a supporting our store and selling product standpoint, right? How are we going to make it work? And the answer cannot be a cube because that does not sell product.
Correct. Right, because the game dies if the LGS doesn't get behind it. And LGS is not going to get behind, come do free cube drafting here.
That is the wrong answer.
Right, yeah. Cube drafting, I mean, it is a good answer in your local buddy tavern community. Absolutely, there's a ton of value there, and it's easy to do.
Super easy to do in this game.
So,
although, actually, can you make a cube without using the intro decks?
Yeah.
Right now.
Ooh.
I don't know.
I don't know if there's enough 1-drops and 2-drops in the... Because I haven't.
I actually think white suddenly becomes actually playable. Don't they have a couple 1-drops that are common? Anyway, whatever.
Yeah, very very possible. So, I want to throw this idea out to you. And it's not an accusation by any means. Mm-hmm. I think many companies, this is kind of the new way to do it. With ARG stating that their draft is planned for 2020, and the way that the game has kind of been run out to people in phases, is it possible that we are doing a paid beta for this game? Like, I don't know, as smart as this company is and as well run as it is.
Sure.
I don't know if you release a card game without a draft, like a draft format immediately, like unless you're FFG, right? I mean that's the like.
Well, but actually, what you're speaking to is basically exactly what FFG did, right? Like, again, this is not a Destiny podcast, but the first 3 sets of Destiny do not fit in with the rest of how they designed the game.
Right.
You actually are raising a very valid question.
And again, I want to say that's not an accusation or even a problem.
No, I mean, how are you supposed to know? I mean, gamers, gamers are crazy people. Like, we're amazing at, like, finding, like, the little... I mean, I'm not, personally, but, like, the gamer community can find a broken thing in, like, 5.3 seconds.
And like, what is the pinnacle of all... If you're running a card game company, what is the pinnacle of games that you could follow?
Oh, I mean, we all know.
Yeah,
like,
Magic. Right, yeah, Magic. So, what do we call Magic's...
Magic doesn't even have to have a draft kit.
But what is Magic's first set? What do we refer to it as?
Oh, Alpha.
Alpha.
Well, but yeah.
Right.
But,
I mean, that game was created without a 25-year lifespan in mind. Those guys threw some cards together and were like, this looks like it could be a game. Richard Garfield's a mathematical genius, right? He did, like... So, I think, like I said, I want to make sure it's not shots. I'm saying we could be... The reason that I say this is, without a draft variant in the game already, I very well feel maybe this company decided, let's put these cards out and let these smart people... These really smart, dedicated, passionate
break our
people
game for us.
Break our game,
yeah.
So that when draft comes out in 2020, maybe that's the real entry to this game. That's my parting thought anyway.
Yeah, that's a fair parting thought.
Yeah. I thought about that all day instead of working.
Until you got your call at 4:00.
Yeah, right.
Which is why we're shooting late.
Right, correct.
All right. Anyway, again, hey, so if you guys are just joining us or if you've been a long-time viewer, again, we appreciate you watching. Yeah. Please, if you have not subscribed or hit that little bell, and please remember they're 2 different things. Please don't hit the bell and not subscribe. Correct. Subscribe first, then hit the bell. We can give you the notifications, but also puts a smile on both of our faces and keeps the lights on. Actually, really it doesn't.
It doesn't. But it keeps the beer glass
full. It keeps
full.
us happy.
Yeah, and we want to keep doing this. I just want to say before we finish, I've had so much fun with Argent Saga this week. Our meta is now up. I've shown this to...
Our meta has increased by 20% in the last week.
Yeah, it's incredible.
That's huge.
Every single person I have shown this game to, like who has sat down and played with me, has bought product within 48 hours. I've never been around a game like that before. It's crazy.
It is interesting, right? Like, this game is super easy to learn for people with a gaming background.
Yeah.
I have not even breached the subject with Amy yet. I don't think this is an Amy game.
Me? I don't know. Yeah, so I don't know.
Maybe one day. Yeah. But what I'm saying is the people who've been showing it to are also predisposition gamers and also have that excitement of the new games.
And that could be a whole other podcast, but are we cannibalizing like our group from like...
I think you are.
Okay, sue me. I like this game. I'm excited. So I want to talk about, just a little spoiler for next time, I really would like to talk about methods that I have found successful in building this community. And how to get more people involved. So anyway,
perfect. So we will do that in the future. We also do have a podcast coming up talking. I mean, we're actually going to go through the elements as well, kind of talk about the color wheel, but that'll be a whole series, right? But then really what I want to do, I want to sit down with you, me, and then Nathaniel, who was the other charter member of our group, if you want to call it that. Because each one of us has kind of aligned ourselves with a color over the last week and a half, and I kind of want to talk about why we've chosen that color.
It's fire.
Well, I know you like things to burn. But no, so I want to talk about that and what we see, the strengths and weaknesses. Interestingly enough, I chose a color that I don't think is the strongest.
That's funny, because one of our first games, you're like, that color doesn't look very strong. And then that was the one that you bought, which I thought was pretty funny.
So, because of the whole multicolor thing. Anyway, but we'll go into that. So again, like and subscribe.
Please.
Nothing else. Go Command.
Go Command.